Welcome to Friday Friends, RI Elder Info's weekly look at the organizations and individuals providing resources for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is 9 o'clock on Friday, and you are watching Friday Friends with me, Deb Burton, Executive Director of RI Elder Info, and host for the last 6+ years of Friday Friends, where every week we are bringing you information and resources that you or someone you know needs to know about. And we are having a great conversation for everybody to be able to be most prepared for end of year tax filing. So I really think it's important across the age spectrum, hit the like button, the share button, all those bells and whistles and social media cues that say, hey, check this out, because we are having a fabulous conversation today for some of the things that we all need to be aware of. Now, as you all know, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we could not do this without the support of our sponsors. So a big thank you to Point 32 Health Foundation, United Healthcare, and especially McCarthy Law. Here's a message from McCarthy Law.
Here at McCarthy Law, we practice in the areas of estate planning, long-term care planning, elder care law, and residential real estate. Our focus is really on providing peace of mind to our clients.
If you're interested in scheduling a consultation with our office, you can feel free to reach out to us at 401-541-5540. You can also reach out via website at www.mccarthylawri.com. You also should check out our social media, both on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn for some helpful tips and tricks.
Welcome, David and Kevin. Tell me, how are you today?
Very good. Thank
Doing
you.
well, thank you.
Yourself.
Excellent. So far, so good. It's early yet, but I'm hopeful. It's Friday, so it'll be great.
Right.
So I'm glad that you guys were able to come on today to talk about VITA. I think a lot of folks are not familiar with what even VITA, the acronym, stands for. So could you share that? We'll start there.
Sure. So my name's Dave. I'm the President and CEO for Community Action Partnership of Providence County. VITA stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. It's a program sponsored by the Internal Revenue Service. It's designed to provide free tax preparation and filing, both federal and state returns, as well as multi-state returns for those who work across the borders. And it serves pretty much anyone under certain income thresholds. Those are defined by the IRS, but we're allowed to tweak through those once in a while. It's basically for anyone to prevent them from having to go to a paid tax preparer. It's very similar to what some of your viewers might know as the AARP Tax Assistance Program. They're the same basic programs.
Okay. And so are the programs that are available through VITA, are they age dependent, or is it sort of maybe the IRS gives like one big bucket of money and it can be broken up for different groups of people? How's that work?
Great question. So AARP, and I'm not an expert, I'm not the VITA expert, but my understanding, I've been doing it a little under 30 years. My understanding is the AARP bucket is simply given to AARP, and they design it, and they primarily focus on their clientele, which are folks, I believe, 50 or 55 and old. VITA is a catch-all. I can serve 16-year-old kids filing their first tax return with their parents, or I can file for a 99-year-old person who's just on retirement benefits and pensions. So we can file for anyone. There are separate certifications to make sure that we know what we're doing. For example, like for folks who are military, you have to be separately certified in that military as a separate thing, because there are different things that need to be filed. But that's the gist of it.
That's really important, because we do a lot of information and resource sharing. We just had our 6th annual Calling All Veterans Day event, and it's really important to understand and know that this is something that is available for our military members and veterans. You mentioned that you've been doing this for 30 years. you've been volunteering for 30 years, or like what kind of background is needed to do this?
So about in '92, I started working for a different agency than mine called Tri-County Community Action, which serves a different population of a different area of Rhode Island, same services. At that point, the United Way of Rhode Island and the local VITA spec office had put out a grant saying we have this money available for folks who want to volunteer and become part of VITA. All the CAP agencies in Rhode Island accepted. We all got small contracts. And at that point, I was interested in helping out. So after work, I would volunteer. I had to go through the training. That was in 90 whatever, and so 96 or something like that. And then every year after that, as I worked there, and even when I got here, it just became something I enjoyed doing. And so I just continued to volunteer and do the certification year after year after year. As far as qualifications, the only qualification you need is to pass the Link and Learn, which is what is called Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, and it's no joke. It's a tough. Kev can tell you.
Yeah, it's a pretty thorough exam. Yeah.
And for Kevin, so for that testing process, for that certification process, are volunteers vetted around this? Because you're handling people's dates of birth, social security, all the things that are just ripe for the picking for identity theft.
Yeah, there's a lot of requirements that you go through in order to participate in VITA. There's a lot of training, there's ethics training, there's a lot of things out there that you've got to satisfy in order to participate as a volunteer in the program. In addition, the volunteers are all supervised by a site supervisor who monitors the location and all of the services that are being provided.
Is this program the same as there had been a way to go online and file your taxes for free? I don't know if that's still going to be available in 26, but is it similar to that?
My free tax filing. Yeah, I believe at some point as part of a partnership, H&R Block was sponsoring that as a website for folks to do in conjunction with VITA for free. So yes, it did spurn from VITA for folks that were able to do things electronically. We still use it occasionally, and in fact, we haven't implemented it here, but some sites have labs where you can go in and access My Free Taxes, and if you get stuck, there's a certified volunteer who can wander over and kind of help push you through it. So yeah, it is part of this program, although we don't link into it ourselves here yet. We're just not set up for it yet.
Okay. So if people wanted to take advantage of this, how would they go about doing that? Is there a phone number they need to call, or do they have to log online, or what happens if they can't go online? How do they get a hold of you?
So there's a ton of different ways. A lot of our clients come through internal referrals. Someone comes to our agency and is looking for fuel assistance services. We just say, hey, here's another service we provide. It's on CAP's website. I believe, Kev, do you have it on your website, a link?
It's being put on our website, as we speak. There's
also you could literally Google VITA location near me, and the IRS website tool will come up. Pop your zip code in, and it will give you a list. What range do you want to go? 5 miles, 30 miles, and it will give you a list of the VITA sites. It should give you hours, whether it's walk-in, whether it's appointment-based, what the phone number is to contact. So there's a lot of different ways to get to us.
So we're having this conversation early in September. It's too soon for folks to be able to start scheduling that now, right?
It is, because for our agency it is, yeah. Because and most agencies, what'll happen is very shortly the training modules will open up, because obviously all the new tax code has to be filtered through, and the software vendor that's chosen nationally, everyone has to use the same software, and so they got to make sure safeguards are in. All the local state changes have to be plugged in, so that's a long process. Normally the IRS, not normally, the IRS doesn't accept filings, I believe, until the first or second week of February, so we can't even transmit until February anyway. We generally open that last week of January and start taking appointments. It's tough to pre-schedule because of schedules and everything. you don't even want to schedule more than a week or so out, because, it's just, you get a lot of people who just miss the appointment or don't show, and then you're sitting there not helping anyone. And so if folks should think, and don't worry, we always have an ability and to slot you. And we have nighttime appointments, Saturday appointments, daytime appointments. We generally have a lot of flexibility. If we don't have an appointment, we're linked with the local other CAPs. We can say, hey, go over to Tri-County. They're 5 minutes up the road. You're at West Bay. You're closer to them. Go on over there. So it's a very collaborative type of thing where we can generally get somebody slotted in. But usually wait till around, the end of January, because by that point, you don't even have your tax documents. There's nothing I can do anyway.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And for folks who are coming in, so you can make an appointment, you might be able to walk in. Is there anything different if people had questions about, what should I do to prepare to save on not having to pay as much taxes? Do I invest in something? Do you guys provide that kind of financial advice?
That's where the strategic partnership with CAP and Roadway comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So Roadway Financial is a nonprofit that does free financial planning, financial coaching for low to moderate income individuals and families, for military personnel, and justice involved individuals. So we've got a pretty broad mandate, and we work with people on withholding issues. We work with people on putting money in an IRA to reduce their tax liability. We work with people on just plain budgeting questions. I want to what's the appropriate amount I should be spending? How much should I be having withheld? Am I getting a huge refund and I can't pay my bills month to month? Let's spread that out over the year. But also there's a risk if you spread that out over the year, if they're not budgeting, appropriately, that they end up with a big credit card bill in April because they didn't change their habits. So it's kind of a very involved process that the CAP folks identified and brought Roadway in, and we've had a fantastic partnership for the last 12 months.
Kevin, that sounds amazing, because I feel like there's so many things that are changing as far as price points, whether it's, our gas bills or electric bills or our food bills. And for a lot of folks, they're not really familiar with how to do budgeting or how to break things out across, multiple months so that they can be able to sustain themselves better. Are your services available all year long, or only when the VITA program is going on?
We do this all year long. So from pretty much from February 1st to April 15th, we're consumed with VITA clients. But
Tax season.
Yeah, we also provide them, if they need them, these types of services while we're going through that process. So that's our kind of busiest time of the year, but the rest of the year we're doing financial literacy training. We have one-on-one client meetings. We have small group client meetings, all designed to basically pass this information along so that people know how to confidently manage their financial lives. It's kind of the 80-20 rule. You're going to spend 80% of your time on 20% of your bills.
Yeah, I understand that feeling.
Just real quickly, we are one of those sites that are actually open all year, Deb. So we certify once, and then tax season obviously is the big piece. But Kevin's done a number of returns over the summer. I've done some returns in this, and people sometimes have to do amended returns. Sometimes people miss the deadline, right? And so we have to get them their returns in on a timely manner. We just did a client who hadn't filed in 6 years and didn't know it, so we had to go back and recreate 6 years worth of returns. So we are actually open all year for those other questions that come up for tax. I mean, not quite, but the other tax issues that come up.
Right, to be able to do the filing. Now, ballpark, because I know, parameters a lot of times get changed as of January 1st. What are the qualifications or the income guidelines to be able to participate? Understanding that, what is true right now in September of 2025 might change for January 1, 2026, but ballpark, what can people have?
So it generally goes by the earned income tax credit threshold. In other words, if you are, and if folks don't understand what that is, that's the credit that you can, for folks that are very low income, under 12,000, unsustainable, or for folks that have children, right? Working folks that have children. If you have any type of earned income, from work or any other source, and you have 1 to 3 children, there's a credit that you can apply for, that you can receive, that can actually give you money back even over what you've paid in. And that program has been around forever, for a long time. A lot of people don't know about it. And one of the reasons VITA was created was for that reason. So a lot of CAPs will refer to it as the EITC program instead of VITA. It was designed to help particularly single parents with children who are really close to the poverty level understand that there are thousands of dollars potentially that they're eligible for in refund, even if they didn't normally expect a refund. And so those guidelines, I forget exactly what they are. They range anywhere from 50 to 60,000 or 50 some odd thousand for a family of 2 or 3 or 4. Your best bet is, this is what I always say to people. If you are generally eligible for any of those credits, child tax credit, education credits, any of those types of credits that you can get, and you can't afford to go to pay for, have your taxes done, give us a call. We'll run you through the screening, and we'll know before you have to come through the door whether or not we can help you.
And are any of these services that we talked about, are there costs involved?
No.
Nope, none.
Roadway has a little different sliding scale, just to close that circle. We start around, we define ourselves low to moderate income, starts around 65,000, and then it's adjusted every year and goes up by about 8,000 or 9,000 for every additional family member. So around 65 for somebody who's single, and then you're married, it jumps up to, I think, 74, and it'll keep adjusting up, for every additional family member thereafter.
Okay, that's really good to know, because I know for our older adult population, the average income for an individual is around $55,000. So it sounds like they would be eligible to receive that help.
Yeah, come on in. And as far as does it cost anything? Not the client. We are actually forbidden to charge clients anything. That's one of the hard-coded rules in the VITA program, along with not sharing personal info, not passing along, hey, my wife sells insurance. You need insurance. Go see her. Completely forbidden. You can lose your ability to volunteer forever in those instances. But the cost-wise for the client is zero. My agency and Kev's agency, sure, we always have to put money that we find somewhere, because there's just not the money they give you at the federal and local level. It just isn't enough to run the program for personal computers, and so that's a different story.
Yeah, that's the challenge of the nonprofits all the time.
Yep.
Now, because you're part of the CAP, and a lot of the VITAs are in CAP agencies or community action programs, East Bay, West Bay, Tri-County, Child and Family Services. If you identify that somebody may be eligible in doing their taxes, you may find that their income is likely low enough that they would qualify for, say, heating assistance or SNAP benefits. Are you able to help that individual that's there for taxes to navigate to get those additional services?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
That's a fantastic question, because one of the real strengths of the partnership with CAP is not just with VITA, but with all of the people that Roadway sees for financial planning, financial coaching. We work with them, and if there's services that they're eligible for that CAP is offering or other agencies are offering, we can direct them, to the appropriate people here to get those services. On the other side, if somebody is getting those services and their income's coming up, we can work with them on how to budget appropriately as service they may not become eligible for services going forward. So it's a tricky balance that you get into when you're obviously coming out of the benefits area.
Right. But we, from the CAP perspective, and just a bit of clarity, Child Family Services, phenomenal organization, but not one of the 7 CAPs. In case somebody they're thinking they're a CAP.
That's true. Yes, my mistake.
That's okay. I just wanted folks. I didn't want them saying, "Hey, who you calling us a CAP?" But in any event, even more, as to Kevin was saying, most of our clients come from another program. They come in looking for fuel assistance. They come in through the Rhode Island Works program. They come in through our job training programs. And we say, hey, you need some tax help. Go over there and get tax assistance. There's almost always, if not always, a volunteer does work for my agency, or it's me volunteering. And so we're very tuned into, hey, you know what? You were just talking about your kids in school. You were talking about another kid who's not working. We got some training services. Here's the card. Here's who you can talk to, or you want, I can roll you right into it now. So at our agency, if you walk in the door for any service, you get wrapped into all the services that you're.
I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like too often information and resources can be siloed, and you may be eligible for something one door down, but there's not always the initiative to point someone to that other door as well. And so I love that if you're finding that, hey, like you have multiple children and, you could benefit from these other services, let's get that taken care of. I feel like we need more of that wraparound community collaborative support for all of us. I mean, we're all in this together. We got to row the boat in the same direction.
Absolutely. And just to expand on that, what we're working on now, and is actually part of our strategic plan, and we're working hard to implement this, is not only that wraparound services, but we've put all our case managers under one roof, one office, and train them in all the programs. And so what that prevents, and our data systems are working this way now with confidentiality barriers, et cetera, what that prevents is a client having to go from fuel assistance to job training and give you their social security number again and their income. And I've always hated, for 30 years that I've been doing this, I've hated the question, I just told them this, why do I have to give it to you? And my brain was always like, yeah, why? It makes no sense. We're the same darn agency. Why am I repeating myself? So we're now trying to get to a system where we just say, hey, we got all your info, Mrs. Johnson, and it looks like you're eligible for LIHEAP. You want me to enroll you? Yes, good. Here's the application. It's done. Sign here. You don't even need to go to that office.
Love it. Love it. Now, you both mentioned that you're nonprofits. Mm-hmm. How, I'm assuming maybe 501c3, how can people support you, or if they want to volunteer? Do you have fundraisers? Do you need volunteers in the office or help with social media? Like, how can people support this? Because it's so important what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we have donate buttons on our screen. You're right. It's hard. We're trying to create funding streams that, things that generate money for our own funding, so that we don't have to rely on federal, state, local money. You see the craziness that's been happening federally with Medicaid and other things, and who knows who's going to be funded, who's not. And so that's really tough for our core mission. And so relying on corporations, fundraisers, we actually have if I may,
sure,
rolling fundraiser coming up.
All right.
On September 27th.
Right around the corner. That's perfect.
Yep. A nice low cost, but let me see. You can go on our website, or you can just call 270-2000. Is that right? Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. And we'd be happy. We're about half full, but always looking for some more folks. But those types of things are what help us.
Yeah. And we primarily have gone to private foundations, as well as some local, financial services company, Washington Trust, Citizens Bank, have been, supporters of ours in the past. The Foundation for Financial Planning, so we're more smaller grant focused, but we're a fairly low cost operation, so we're able to, put that together. 100+ Women Who Care is a recent donor that's been, just fantastic for us to work with. But it's a process, it's a year-round process for us, because we're a small organization. We also leverage, because we do financial planning, we leverage the Foundation for Financial Planning has a portal that matches up certified financial planners with opportunity to do pro bono work. So
Nice.
we put an opportunity in there, and if somebody's intrigued by it, they connect with us, and then we provide them the work. It's been, we've got a few people that have come through that way. And we've learned some lessons on how best to leverage those volunteers that we plan on using going forward. Engage them early in the process, so a client just doesn't know me or just doesn't know Cameron, who works with me, and then somebody else shows up at their door to do the financial plan. So we want to make sure that we've got folks engaged early on, and that it's a seamless process for the client. If the client was paying for the services, they would go see the person who they worked out the deal with. So we want to make sure it works the same way in the pro bono work that we do.
I love it. It's, we still have a couple months for folks to think about this. I know that there's likely a lot of changes coming out of Washington. And so I'm confident that with all of the information and resources that you guys are providing to the community, that I'm sure that everybody's trained and up to date. And I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And I'm really glad that you guys were able to come on and share this information and resources. And bowling, I think, is, I got to check my calendar. I think it's like next week for you. So that'd be awesome.
And as a final thing for me, not just how clients can get us, but volunteers. When Kev mentioned volunteers, we're always looking for folks. If you're interested in volunteering to do the tax preparation piece, October or so is a great time to get a hold of us. You can reach out. I give you the best number again. Got my glasses here. Yeah, 273-2000. I knew I said something wrong. 273-2000. Call that number, and we'll at least explain it, how it works, and see if it's a fit for you. But we love to have volunteers.
Awesome.
One final thing for me, when you were asking about costs before.
Yep.
One thing for me to note, there's we work with clients on all aspects of financial planning. So somebody might come to us and need insurance. We're not an insurance company, so we would work with them, help them evaluate insurance policies, but they would be coming from a carrier who's going to charge premiums for those services. So there could be a cost there. The other area that we work with people on estate planning. So we provide a will, a power of attorney, and a healthcare proxy for free, with a local attorney who's volunteering time with us. But if they need something more complex, that would be on them. If they need a trust or something like that, because we just stop there, because who knows how far that could go.
Yeah.
Yes, and those things are very legally detailed, I'll say.
Yep.
So that's good. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming on today. I really do appreciate it. And I love the fact that this is available for folks, not only the ability to have your taxes filed, but also the financial planning and budgeting, that kind of thing. These days, it's becoming even more critical that we all watch every penny. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Everybody, this is one of those things. I know it feels like it's a little early because it's September, but the end of the year is going to be right around the corner. And there are a lot of changes. And so you might find that having this resource available to get your taxes filed, or to even help you with the budgeting and financial management, is something that is going to be very important for you as we go forward. So I strongly encourage you, please reach out to them at the 273-2000 number. And if there's something that you're eligible for, they're going to work to get you connected. Like I said, we are all in this together. We got to help each other out. If you see somebody in need, if you have the ability to help, to volunteer, we have to all work together. So I am really glad that you've all hit the like button, the share button, all those bells and whistles to help us get this message out to people, right? Oh, thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing you again next week. In the meantime, be well and be kind.